Hi, welcome to Handcrafted. I'm just sitting outside on this nice day today looking at this catalog for some project ideas. And I'm going to make a version of this decorative bench. So let me show you an easy way to make one. I'm going to build this project out of cedar fence pickets. Now these are cheaper than actual cedar lumber, and the bench will be weather resistant if you decide to put it outside. Now I just need to plane these down. Fence boards are generally 5/8 of an inch thick. After I plane these down smooth, they'll be about a 1/2 inch. Always remember shop safety glasses, and when working with cedar, you should always wear a dust mask. Here at the joiner, I'm going to joint the edges of these boards, removing 1/16 of an inch with each pass. The sides of the bench will be 21 inches. I need to cut 4 pieces out of these pickets to a rough dimension of 21 1/4 inches. These will then be glued up to form the sides. I got my 4 pieces cut to a rough dimension of 21 1/4 inches. Now I'm going to glue these up to form my 2 sides for my bench. Once these are dry, I will cut the sides to a final length. After squaring up one end on my side pieces, I will now cut them to 21 inches in length. I'm going to cut 2 pieces to a rough dimension of 24 1/4 inches out of one of these pickets. These 2 pieces will be glued together to form the top of the seat bench. Now I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together that I cut for the bench seat. After these dry, I will cut the bench seat to 24 inches. The top of my seat bench has finished drying, so I'll square it up and cut it to length. Here at the router table, I've set up a 1/2 inch straight cutting bit that is a 1/4 inch high and 3 1/2 inches from the fence here, and I'll use that to route a 1/2 inch dado into the side pieces that will accept the top of the bench here. When routing this, you should use a scrap piece on the front of and the back of the dado you're routing to avoid any tear out. Cedar especially has a tendency to tear out. Using the same router bit, I'm going to route a dado 1/4 inch from the edge on the underside of the bench seat top. That will accept a railing piece here on the front of the bench. With the router set up the same way, I will now cut a dado here on the front of the side pieces. This will accept the rail support underneath the front of the bench. Now this will be a tricky cut because I won't be able to see my start and stop positions, so I've made a mark here on the workpiece for where I will start and stop this dado cut. I will now clean up these corners with a chisel. This piece here I'm going to rip down to 3 inches wide. This will be for the railing support piece under the bench. After ripping the rail piece to a width of 3 inches, I will now cut it to 24 inches long, the same length as the bench top. I've sanded down the side pieces in the top of my bench. Now I'm ready to glue this portion of the bench up. I flipped the bench upside down. Now I will add some clamps to clamp up the sides. The back support on the bench is made to look like a picket fence. I'm not going to create the folk artsy flag for this bench. I'm just going to make the picket fence. And I'm going to cut the boards for that next. To create the fence picket back, I've determined that the width of the fence pickets need to be 3 1/4 inches wide so that they space out evenly across the back. So I've set up my table saw here with the fence 3 1/4 inches from the blade. The length of the fence pickets for the back of the bench is 13 inches long. I will need a total of 7 of these, and I've clamped a stop block here on the miter saw table so that I don't have to measure each one of these before I cut them. I cut 7 pieces here that will form the fence back on my bench, and these were cut to 13 inches long, and they will form the fence on the back of the bench here. And now, using this pattern that I created, I will trace this on top here to form the top of the fence picket. Now I'm going to stack and tape these all together so that I can cut them all at once on the bandsaw. I have my pieces taped up, and now here at the bandsaw I will cut these two angles to form my pickets. I just finished sanding the tops of these pickets. Now I'll just finish up the sides. I'm ready to start assembling the fence pickets to the back of the bench here, and as you can see, I've also added a rail support on the back here that will give me some support and something to attach the fence pickets to. Starting from the center and working my way out, I'll begin to attach these fence pickets to the back of the bench here, and I'll be gluing them and pin nailing them with 1-inch pin nails. After you attach the center picket and the two end pickets, you can use spacer blocks between them to set the distance between the rest of the pickets. These last two pickets that I'm attaching, I'm just carefully eyeballing the spacing here between the two pickets so that they're fairly even. For the last step, I created this backer piece that I will attach to the back here to finish off the look of the picket fence. Alright, I'll let this dry for a few hours, and then the bench will be pretty much complete, except for staining or painting or whatever you might want to do with your bench. Now this bench isn't really meant for sitting on, it's just for decoration, but for $10 worth of cedar fence pickets, you can build your own, and you can stain it or paint it however you like. Thank you for joining me on Handcrafted by Lance Mitchell.